Walk to the other side of me, outside of the camera shot. And remember, just relax and be conversational.
Easy for you to say. You do this every day.
Oh, believe me, you will be fine.
Luger.
Thanks for the ringing endorsement.
Stand by, everyone. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Good evening, Central Indiana. This is Sophia Perez, Channel 11 Evening News, coming to you tonight from the beautiful downtown Indianapolis campus of IUPUI, helping to celebrate the 50th anniversary of this impressive institution. We will bring you reports throughout the night, and later we will open up a time capsule left by students from the 70s. That should be exciting.
I'm looking forward to the time capsule.
Starting things off, that voice you hear is tenure professor Connor O'Malley, an assistant to the Vice Chancellor of Academics, and most importantly, to the seminal point in IUPUI history, co-chair of the 50th Anniversary Planning Committee. How have things gone throughout the night, Connor?
Could not be better, Sophia. All of the hard work of the committee over the past few years comes to fruition tonight.
Yeah? Well, talk to us about the importance of IUPUI.
Where do I start? Well, first of all, Sophia, we are a major contributor to the workforce and economy of the state. Through higher education and obtaining degrees, the quality of life for tens of thousands of individuals has been elevated.
Wow. Talk to us about the growth of the campus.
Oh my. Well, IUPUI has 17 schools offering degrees in health sciences, liberal arts, life sciences, engineering, and so much more. This past year, 5,278 individuals left this campus with Indiana University degrees, and another 1,662 earned Purdue University degrees. Those numbers are the very definition of impact. This campus lives up to its motto of fulfilling the promise.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you for that information. Next, let me introduce you all to a very special and successful Indianapolis native, Dr. Nicole Woods, who earned her bachelor's, master's, and her doctorate from the Kelley School of Business on this campus. Dr. Woods, tell our viewing audience tonight what a difference IUPUI has made in your life.
Please, just call me Nicole. IUPUI has literally been a life-changing experience for me. I barely had the grades or money coming out of high school to enroll, but what I had in abundance was determination and focus. I was smart, but uninspired until I got to this campus. With help from faculty and staff, my whole life turned around.
Wow. Tell us about where your career has taken you.
Through the years, wait a minute, where my career has taken me.
Yeah.
Oh, after I completed my junior and senior internships, I graduated and went immediately into a management track position with Comcast.
Oh, Nicole, you must have been quite impressive.
Oh, only because I was so well prepared for the task. Through the years, I made steady progression through the satellite and cable industry. Today, I am president and CEO of one of the largest satellite broadcasting operations in Seattle.
Ah, that is impressive. Well, how do people know that you aren't just an anomaly, that they too can enjoy the same kind of success for themselves by attending IUPUI?
Well, everyone's experience is different. But if you're willing to put in the work, IUPUI is proven to be a great place to give you what you will need to launch your career. Networking with the IUPUI family is important too. I've been very involved with the IU Neil Marshall Alumni Club, which is the university's organization for Black graduates.
Oh, so you know others from your success?
Oh God, yes. 67% of students who attend this campus completed internships just like I did. You can't imagine how helpful that was to pursuing next step with our degrees. And statistics verify that 8 out of 10 graduates of this campus are working in career fields related to their course of study and degrees. Most impressive, Sophia, 92% of students report a positive outcome of their matriculation, participation, and transition into the so-called real world. That is a high percentage of success for any campus in the nation.
Yes, yes it is. Thank you for that information. Last but certainly not least, let me introduce Mr. Clyde Johnson, who offers a unique perspective, not as a member of the faculty or the staff or even as a graduate, but rather as a person who grew up in this very neighborhood.
Yep, that's right.
So these were your young stomping grounds, so to speak, long before there was an IUPUI. What are your thoughts tonight as we reflect back on the past 50 years?
I don't think you really want to know.
Yes, we do.
My thoughts tonight? I hardly know where to start. Let's first go with anger.
Anger?
When y'all look around, you see bricks, glass, mortar, lights, action, camera. But when I look at the same situation, I see something totally different. I see a neighborhood stolen.
Stolen?
Go on, Clyde.
Look, I'm not trying to rain on y'all's parade. But you asked me, and I'm going to tell you like it is. No sugar-coated praise here. You all have no idea what life was like on the avenue. When I say the word ransom place, your faces go blank like deer caught in headlights. What does it matter to you that the Bethel AME Church was not just part of the neighborhood, but refuge for runaways traveling the Underground Railroad in search of freedom? Did you know?
Wow, thank you for that powerful perspective, Clyde. The station is telling me that it's time to wrap up this segment. But don't turn that dial, Central Indiana. We will continue to bring you reports throughout the night. Reporting live from downtown Indianapolis, this is Sophia Perez. Oh my gosh, where's the closest restroom?
I'll be.
How dare you?
How dare I what? What's your problem?
Don't play crazy. I don't know that I've seen anything so rude. This is neither the time nor the place for you to air your grievances over your childhood that lasted forever. Life goes on, man.
Somebody come get her. You don't know me like that.
Nor do I really care to at this point. But I know when somebody is ridiculous.
What's ridiculous is your bougie attitude.
Whatever. Look, you sound like somebody living in the past. If you're frustrated with your life, don't blame IUPUI. This campus coming into your neighborhood brought hope. It didn't take it away. And it was up to you and anybody else to take advantage of it. But if you chose instead to whine about change, that's on you.
I don't know who you think you're talking to.
What were you even trying to prove with that ignorant rage?
Oh, ignorant? Lady, you're about to make me forget I'm a gentleman and a Christian. I don't care what kind of big shot you are in Seattle, but you ain't about to talk to me like that.
Poor choice of words. I apologize. But I am angry over your outburst. It was out of place. And if you're so bitter about the university, why are you even here tonight?
Well, not that I gotta explain it to you, but I'm here at the urging of my daughter, a pediatrician in Inglewood, California, and my son, a principal at the Richmond, Virginia private high school. Now, neither of them could make it here tonight, so they sent me their invitation, asked me to come and represent, take pictures. But believe me, I didn't want to come.
So that's even more hypocritical. What an ingrate. Your two children got wonderful careers here and apparently went on to your two children got great degrees here and apparently went on to wonderful careers. How can you have anything but good to say about IUPUI.
You know what, lady? Your problem is everything's about you and your way of thinking. I enjoyed a successful career. I didn't go to college. But I worked as an electrician at Rolls-Royce and Allison, made good money, took care of my family, and put my only 2 children through college. This ain't about me. Where I grew up is just more than a stone's throw from where we're standing right now. I was witness to too many friends, neighbors, strangers, who just couldn't handle the change. They saw their world destroyed, turned to drinking, drugs. Some even became homeless.
You know, that is unfortunate. But some people are weaker than others. You know what? This world is always evolving. And you either go with the flow or fall off.
You know what, lady? You're a cold piece of work.
Keeping it real, brother.
Well, I'm glad to see you two don't have each other in the headlock. I was worried. Are you all right?
Can I say one thing? You are well within your rights to speak your mind, Clyde, but I'd be less than honest if I didn't say that your remarks startled me. As we planned for this evening, I can't say that anyone on the committee anticipated a downside, especially one as major as your beef.
Thanks for nothing, Professor Connor. I don't need your permission to speak my mind.
You shouldn't have had to prepare for such a tirade on this momentous occasion. What were you even trying to accomplish with that tantrum?
Well, my producer loved it. When I was in the restroom, he called. And when we come back, he wants us to go back to your perspective, Clyde, when we do this next segment.
There you go. Journalists preying on the sensational. Now a night that was supposed to be filled with accolades, tributes, warm reflections, and progressive perspectives suddenly becomes a mere reality show for the base viewer. And for what? No matter how entertained they might be listening to your obstinate rant, do you think any of them really gives a damn? Your soapbox won't accomplish anything. What is the point of even letting them use you like that?
Get out of here. Like you care about me? I didn't come here to accomplish anything, and ain't nobody using me. Like I told you, if not for my 2 kids graduating from this campus, you wouldn't even see my face around the place.
But you have every right, Clyde. This was your old neighborhood.
You got that right. In my heart, this is still my neighborhood. No matter what it looks like today, no matter how many changes it's gone through. You can bury the past, but you can't pretend like it never happened. I've got more than a right to talk about it. I've got a responsibility.
Responsibility.
You're right, Clyde. You're right. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was a little, well, no, a lot concerned about anything that detracts from this evening. What do you say? We approach this quandary like men. How about I set up a meeting between you and the Chancellor, and maybe the Vice Chancellor of Inclusion and Diversity, with nothing on the agenda but your legitimate disdain for IUPUI's involvement in this neighborhood's transition. You'd have a smaller audience, but one with more impact.
Hold. Let me see if I got this right. Now, when the cameras come back, I should speak real nice and go along with the program tonight, because in a few days or weeks or months, you'll give me a meeting with the Chancellor to kind of unleash my thoughts on the situation.
Does that sound like a reasonable proposition, my friend?
That'll be no, my friend, it doesn't. See, like I said, Connor, I didn't come here with this on my mind, and I'm probably not going to talk much more about it after tonight. It's just that in this moment, and in this time, I'm getting this rush of emotion I'm not really trying to harness. I'm not a politician, man. What would I accomplish by meeting with the Chancellor? Nothing can be done now, and I know it. I'm not stupid, man. This is the time to have this conversation. So I'm gonna add my 2 cents and just let it go.
No chance I could change your mind, Clyde?
Don't take it personally, man. It just is what it is.
I wonder if your son and daughter would be excited about you representing them tonight if they had any idea you were relishing being a fly in the ointment tonight. Or will they be embarrassed when their friends tell them that their father going off on their school.
You know, I sure appreciate how concerned you are about my family situation, Dr. McCullough. Seeing that I just met you tonight, but trust me, my children will appreciate my honesty. So thanks for caring. You know what? My children would be much more upset if I kept my mouth closed and said nothing. They know about Indiana Avenue and the neighborhood from stories from me, uncles, and grandparents. While I was long gone to the northeast side when I raised them, they were connected to their legacy.
It's all good. We can all learn something new tonight. Let's just try to relax and enjoy the ride. All right, stand by, everyone.
Really, Clyde, this is a seminal moment in IUPUI history. Can't we just celebrate in peace?
Let me just say one more time, my friend. I'm not trying to stifle your expression. I just want you to reconsider, quickly, my counteroffer for having this discussion at a different time and place. Not silencing you, not at all, just putting this particular dialogue on pause.
In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome back to the 50th anniversary celebration on the campus of IUPUI.
Sophia, I can tell you what an honor and privilege it is to be here tonight to celebrate and reflect on all this university has done to enable my success.
Yes, Sophia, when you think about what IUPUI means to alumni like Nicole, across the state, throughout the nation, and around the world, well, you know that this is a local institution with global impact. It gives my heart a warm feeling to be a part of this institution.
That's great, excuse me. All that is good and duly noted, Professor, but equally important is the story behind the story. And that's the picture that Clyde helps us paint. If we go inside your head and heart tonight, Clyde, and reflect back on the past 50 years, what would we see? What would we hear?
Brother.
Be kind.
If I close my eyes, I can see it like it was yesterday. As a child of the 60s, I enjoyed the last remnants of an incomparable community. But thanks to stories shared by my parents, uncles, grandparents, the old man at the barbershop, restaurants and street corners, I know that vivid culture that shaped Indiana Avenue from its earliest days in Indianapolis. Man. You know, this place meant so much to so many. There is no single story of Indiana Avenue. This is just mine.
And that's what we want, Clyde. Your perspective and your reflection.
Cool. Check it out, everybody. If you listen, you can still hear faintly in the recesses of the air of Indiana Avenue sounds that define the people. Jazz, blues, gospel, bebop, doo-wop, opera, Motown, even the earliest harbingers of rap and hip-hop. Can you hear it?
Sing, 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 sing. Everybody start to sing. Dee, 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 ba, ba, ba. Now you're singing with the swing. Sing, 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 sing. Everybody start to sing. Dee, 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 ba, ba, ba. Now you're singing with the swing. When the music goes around, everybody goes to town. Here's one thing that you should know. Hee, 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 and ho, ho, ho. Sing, 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 sing. Everybody start to sing. Dee, 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 ba, ba, ba. Now you're singing with the swing. Now you're singing with the swing.
And look there. In my mind's eye, I can still see the young people of all ages dancing in perfect syncopation to the music. Oh, yeah. You can't take that away. That's a forever vibe.
Yeah, our viewers can feel it. Tell us more.
I was born in Coleman Hospital not too long after the end of World War II, when the community celebrated the return of our African American soldiers. The jazz reflected a happy time, with military and civilian alike dancing up and down the avenue, the swinging jazz like the irrepressible sound of Ella Fitzgerald. Man, Ella Fitzgerald could straight up blow.
First you say you do, and then you don't. And when you say you will, that's when you won't. You're undecided now, so what are you gonna do? Now you want to play, and then it's no. And when you say you stay, that's when you go. You're undecided now, so what are you gonna do? I've been sitting on the fence, and it doesn't make much sense that you leave me in suspense, and you know it. When you promise to return, when you done, I really burn, but I guess I'll never learn, and I show it. Now if you got a heart, and if you're kind, then don't keep us apart. Make up your mind. You're undecided now, so what are you gonna do? You're undecided now, so what are you gonna
From its European settlement in the early 19th century, Indianapolis near West Side was home to a wide range of immigrants from throughout Europe and other regions of America. These early settlers included a modest antebellum African American community that rapidly established substantial African American neighborhoods along many of the streets adjoining Indiana Avenue. The African American community grew quickly in the early 20th century when the Great Migration attracted scores of African Americans fleeing the Jim Crow South for northern cities like Indianapolis. The state's capital was not legally segregated, but in practice, Indianapolis was governed by a complex system of unspoken racist codes that dictated the growth of the segregated African American community in the West Side. Indiana Avenue was the main corridor slicing through the near West Side. It rapidly became home to black-owned businesses, churches, social institutions, and jazz clubs. Completion of the Walker Building in 1927 brought additional prominence to the area. The building housed Madam C.J. Walker's Manufacturing Company, a theater that attracted national artists and performers, and office space for black professionals and entrepreneurs. The near West Side became the place for African Americans to create their segregated slice of the American dream over more than 50 years. Irrefutably, the displacement of the once vibrant Indiana Avenue community was a precursor to the construction of IUPUI. 29 oral historical personal stories that help recapture the essence of this dynamic are in the book The Price of Progress, IUPUI, The Color Line, and Urban Displacement by Paul R. Mullins and Glenn S. White. In case you were wondering, this glorious area wasn't considered a prized possession by the Indianapolis white community. As a matter of fact, the near West Side neighborhood was undesirable because of drainage problems, flooding, and mosquito infestation near the canal, White River, and Fall Creek. It was because of these inferior conditions that it was allotted for colored people. There were hundreds of homes located west of the canal, from the waterways of the White River, Fall Creek, and south of 16th Street. The Queen Anne, Foursquare, and shotgun-style homes were built on small, narrow lots between 1875 and the 1900s. Most were one-story with front porches. Over time, outhouses were replaced with indoor plumbing. Homes that were heated by fireplaces and potbelly stoves eventually got central heating, and electricity replaced kerosene lanterns for lighting. Progress was in motion. Who could have imagined that such rudimentary origins would evolve into an urbane and thriving environment for the nurturing and cultivation of some of the most creative, talented, and progressive music minds in American history? Indiana Avenue enjoyed a long history of jazz music, culture, and education. During the period of segregation, blacks could perform for whites but weren't allowed in the audience at white establishments. Black show business luminaries who frequented Indiana Avenue included Sarah Vaughan, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, and the legendary Nat King Cole. This city also claimed its share of homegrown greats. One of them was singer, composer, and producer Nobel Sissel, who not only wrote school fight song for his Butler University alma mater, but collaborated with the inimitable Eubie Blake on the musical Shuffle Along, featuring the hit song I'm Just Wild About Harry.
I'm just wild about Harry, and Harry's wild about me. The heavenly bliss of his kisses fills me with ecstasy. He's sweet just like chocolate candy, and just like honey from a bee. Oh, I'm just wild about Harry, and he's just wild about me. Can't do without, he's just wild about me.
Shortridge High School graduate Todd Duncan became a prominent opera singer, actor, and professional. He broke color barriers as the first opera singer of color to perform at the Metropolitan Theater in New York 10 years before Marian Anderson. He also performed in such classics as Porgy and Bess, The Sun Never Sets, and Cabin in the Sky. Weekends as a student at Indiana University in Bloomington, Hoagie Carmichael made Indiana Avenue his home away from home. Multiple Grammy Award-winning Carmichael wrote 4 of the most recorded and memorable songs of all time: Stardust, Georgia on My Mind, The Nearness of You, and Heart of Gold.
Sometimes I wonder why I spend the lonely night dreaming of a song. The melody haunts my reverie, and I am once again with you. Though I dream in vain, in my heart it always will remain my stardust melody, the memory of love's refrain. Georgia, Georgia, the whole night through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind, on my mind. I'm talking about Georgia, sweet Georgia. No peace do I find, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrill and delights me. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. I need no soft lights to enchant me, if only you would grant me the right to hold you ever so tight, and to feel in the night the nearness of heart and soul. I fell in love with you, heart and soul.
Even during a time when 25% of Indiana's white male population were confessed members of the Ku Klux Klan, Indiana Avenue thrived. Two cornerstone structures of the community were Crispus Attucks High School, named after the first African American to die in the Revolutionary War, and the Walker Building. Some may not know it, but Attucks was first named Thomas Jefferson High School. The name was changed after black community protests. These institutions anchored the avenue and helped maintain stability that withstood tests of time. A lasting monument to the first self-made American woman millionaire, the Walker Building remains a National Historic Landmark and an Indiana State Historic Landmark. Unfortunately, Madam Walker died in 1919 before the building was completed. The Madam Walker Building opened to the public the day after Christmas in 1927. The first featured film was The Magic Flame. Outside, singers would sing for donations in front of the famous site, hoping to be discovered and brought inside on stage. One group that accomplished that feat was the Ink Spots, whose hits included Brother Can You Spare a Dime and If I Didn't Care.
If I didn't care, would I feel this way? If this is not love, then why do I thrill? And what makes my head go round and round while my heart stands still? If I didn't care, would it be the same?
An Indianapolis man working 40 hours a week as a welder managed to find time to perform at after-hours clubs along Indiana Avenue. One night, he was strumming his guitar in the Missile Room on West Street when he supposedly caught the ear and eye of jazz recording artist Cannonball Adderley. Adderley convinced the guitarist that he was far too talented to settle for just a 9-to-5 job. That discovery launched the career of one of the most famous indie entertainers of all time, Wes Montgomery. An amazing 6 times during the 1960s, Montgomery was chosen as the Downbeat Critics Poll Best Jazz Guitarist, establishing him as the gold standard for aspiring guitarists. He received Grammy nominations for Going Out of My Head, Eleanor Rigby, Down Here on the Ground, Willow, Weep for Me, and 2 for his album Bumpin'. Montgomery heads a storied list of Indiana Avenue musical greats that include J.J. Johnson, Al Coleman, Sonny Johnson, Jimmy Cole, Melvin Rhyme, Reginald Duval Jr., Freddie Hubbard, Larry Ridley, David Baker, Carl Perkins, Flo Garvin, David Amram, Jamie Ebersol, Carol Rhyme Harris, Perez Whitted, Slide Hampton, Paula Hampton, and Pookie Johnson. This is Southern Indiana, and the Avenue was a must-visit for all of the major stars, black or white, even when they were appearing at other venues. Old-timers still recall the story of how one famous visitor to Indiana Avenue, the legendary Ray Charles, got busted in Indianapolis for drugs in 1961, the low point of his career. Just 2 years earlier, Ray was riding high when he dropped into an Indiana Avenue club, just fooling around on the piano, following a live performance when the crowd started going crazy to the beat and these crazy ad-lib lyrics. The next thing you know, he had his first crossover hit with What I Say. Man, when he got down with that on the Avenue, the joint was jumping. They danced out of their shoes and socks that night, man.
I remember when the first talk of building a university in our neighborhood was mentioned. Then it became more than talk, and people started wondering what will become of the heritage, our traditions, our legacy. What will become of us? Everybody had questions and nobody had answers. Indiana Avenue was starting to decline at the same time. Integration enabled families with means to stretch into neighborhoods further away from downtown. Meanwhile, businesses and entertainment establishments closed. Even the Walker Theater marquee went dark for decades. In what locals perceived as an ominous sign, plans advanced to build a university where Ransom Place stood so proudly for so many years. The transition coincided with changes in the national dialogue over social issues. Just as there was conflict over the fate of the Indiana Avenue district, the nation was in a tug-of-war between peaceful nonviolence and troubling civil unrest. Riots uprooted the peace in cities from Watts to Detroit to Newark. Suddenly, the harmonic hymn-like anthem, "We Shall Overcome," was being drowned out by cries of Black Power. Then the unthinkable happened and shook the world from Beale Street to Indiana Avenue.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee. Police have issued an all-point...
I have some very sad news for all of you, and that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis, Tennessee. Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and to justice between fellow human beings. He died in the cause of that effort.
No disrespect, but this ain't about you. What do you call yourself doing, son, huh? I'm about to help even the score. Do you know what they did tonight? Do you know what they did? They took out our last hope, Dr. King. And I'm every bit as upset as you are, son. You're not. Martin was a personal friend of mine. You know Dr. King? We went to Morehouse together. I was a senior his freshman year. Now, we didn't have much dealings on campus, but later on in the years, we became very close friends. It wasn't a time that he came to Indianapolis that he didn't either stay at my house or come by to have my wife Bessie make him his favorite dinner. What was his favorite? Had to be steak, lobster, something fancy, huh? Are you kidding me? Mom wasn't no southern country boy through and through. Mom loved him some fried chicken, collard greens, black-eyed peas, and milk-bag cornbread. Oh, you lying, Pastor. I mean, you know. I know what you mean, son. It's all right. It's all right. What about for dessert? Like peach cobbler or apple pie, right? Had to be apple pie. Not that he would have been disappointed with either of the two now, but nothing made his eyes pop open like some pecan pie. Pecan pie? Yeah. His favorite? Every day. Twice on Sundays. See, you ain't here no more, Pastor. They killed him today. We can't just sit down and take it. But this is Indiana Avenue. Man, this is our neighborhood. Ain't nothing ours. You see the bulldozers. They're about to tear this whole place down and build some university. They don't care nothing about us. Did they ask you what you wanted, preacher? They didn't ask me. Violence won't accomplish anything, son. And neither will nonviolence or peaceful protest, or he would still be here. I'm taking our neighborhood little by little. So what difference does it make? If I don't blow it up tonight, they're gonna blow it up tomorrow. Clyde, I would be lying to you if I told you when I got the news. I prayed and I prayed until I ran out of words. And nothing that God has given me in this moment is helping me to understand. We are supposed to feel rage, Clyde. I get it.
Why are you trying to protect the establishment when they clearly don't got no love for you? Let go of my arms so I can let go of my anger.
I can't do that, Clyde, and I won't. Now I'm telling you, I don't know what the future has in store. But if you do this, whatever the possibilities, you won't be able to enjoy it. We've been through hard times as a people, son. Enslavement, Reconstruction, lynching, Jim Crow, and now this. But somehow God has always seen us through. Somehow he's always made a way out of no way. And though I cannot pretend to have all the answers, I know that God is still God. And all we can do is wait on the Lord.
How much longer do we have to wait? How many more of us have to die? When do we see a change?
Son, those are heavy questions that I cannot answer. But in the book of Job it says, though he slay me, I will trust in the Lord at all times. This is one of those times, son. Now come on.
They killed Dr. King tonight. They killed the king!
Will you pray with me tonight, son? Just pray with me, all right? Dear Heavenly Father, I was born by the river in a little tent. And just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know the change is gonna come. Oh yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know my change is gonna come. Oh yes, it will. Said I go to the movies and I go downtown, but there's always somebody there telling me don't go around. It's been a long time coming, but I know I've changed. Oh yes, and I go to my brother, and I say, brother, help me please. But take my brother, he's wiser. Oh yes, he does. Knocking me down on my knees. Oh, there are times when I thought I would left too long, but now
IUPUI wasn't some kind of overnight sensation. The university can trace its roots back to 1891, when Indiana University offered classes in Indianapolis for the first time. In 1914, Long Hospital opened, and the IU Training School for Nurses was founded. The first IU Extension offices were opened 2 years later. In 1917, the first commencement was held for nursing, with Indiana awarding the graduate nurse diplomas. The IU School of Medicine was completed in 1919, and 5 years later, the James Whitcomb Riley Hospital, named after the great Indiana poet, was dedicated. Progress continued through the Great Depression. The 75-bed William Coleman Hospital for Women was dedicated in October of 1927. A year later, the Ball Residence Hall for Nurses, now known as Ball Residence Hall, opened its doors. The School of Dentistry and Ball Sunken Garden were completed by 1934 and has since been the primary source for the profession in the state of Indiana. Between 1938 and 1968 came the Clinical Building, the Normal College of the American Gymnastic Union, now the School of Physical Education, the Student Union Building, establishment of the School of Nursing and Division of Allied Health Services within the School of Medicine, and the affiliation of the Heron School of Art. The vision intensified on December the 14th, 1968, when newly elected Indianapolis Mayor Richard Luger delivered a live television speech on WFBM, now WRTV6, entitled A Great University for Greater Indianapolis.
WTLC 106.7. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. My name is Jimmy Johnny Jones. And now we're about to go ahead and flip the script. Give you some news that you sure enough can't use. Besides the moon landing and WTLC, I know you've heard by now that the doors of IUPUI are open in downtown Indianapolis.
That's exactly right.
Joining me in the studio is your mayor and mine, the Honorable Richard Luger. Well, first, welcome to the new WTLC.
Oh, well, thanks for the invite, Johnny. It's so great to be here.
Yes, this is the first time we've done anything other than music on the Jimmy Johnny Jones show. But see, the campus open is the talk of the town, and you're the man with the plan. So go ahead and tell my listeners, what's IUPUI stand for?
Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. It's a concept in higher education unlike any in the nation. But first, Johnny, I have to offer my heartfelt congratulations to you and the rest of the news and on-air personalities, management, and staff of WTLC.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So come on now, seriously, what's up with IUPUI?
Well, as you implied, Johnny, the city of Indianapolis is on a roll, and we're ending the decade of the 60s with a bang. And what a decade it was, starting in 1960, and the hope that America shared with John Fitzgerald Kennedy in the White House.
You know, I really can't believe that. You know, first, Dr. King is shot, and then Kennedy's brother is just...
The turbulence of the 60s was monumental, and tragedies unthinkable, but by the grace of God, Johnny, we have remained unbreakable. And while there may never be a time where you or me and the great people in your radio listening audience ever get over what happened, we owe it to future generations to get around it. And that's why there's IUPUI.
Sounds good. So tell my listeners, you know, why is IUPUI such a boss move for him?
Well, first, we are as excited as can be about this institution of higher learning because it's one of the most unique campuses in the country. Nowhere in the nation will you find two universities of this caliber, both members of the Big Ten Conference, both boasting national and international reputations on the same campus. I mean, what a game changer. It's such a powerful concept for the city, state, nation, and beyond.
We'll drop some of the details, Your Honor. Go ahead and tell me, how many do you expect to enroll your first year? What degrees can they get? And will their papers say IU or Purdue?
Well, those are all great questions, Johnny. But first, I have to thank the great people of our city for recognizing the need for this university. And a big thank you to Indiana University and Purdue University leadership for making it happen. And we are blessed beyond measure to have a man such as Dr. Maynard K. Hine to serve as our first chancellor. Now, getting to your questions, first year enrollment is 5,333. And next spring, we will award about 1,500 degrees in medicine, science, law, liberal arts, business, and engineering.
Nice. Boy, there's gonna be an IUPUI degree?
No, Johnny, here's how it works. The students in IU programs will have Indiana University on their degrees, and of course the students in programs spearheaded by Purdue will be reflected in those degrees. There is no IUPUI degree per se, it's 2 universities, 1 campus.
Solid. I think my listeners can get down with everything you're saying, but you know, there might be a couple brothers and sisters waiting on me in the parking lot if I don't ask you a few questions on what it actually took to get here.
Well, what's that?
Well, man, some people from where I live, they think that the IUPUI campus was built on the backs of the African American community, specifically those in the Indiana Avenue area.
Well, what I can say is the reality of urban America is changing very quickly, and many cities move forward without even a plan, but here in Indianapolis, we're ahead of most. And we have many forward-thinking people in our community that will attest that a major city does indeed require a major university.
Yeah, but doesn't the Indiana Avenue area already have so much history?
Well, but it is a neighborhood in transition, and IUPUI is here to make sure that it doesn't become a neighborhood full of abandoned buildings like many cities facing inevitable change.
And you had a total buy-in, huh?
Well, of course not. There is a tremendous amount of justifiable sentimentality when dealing with an area as meaningful and historic as Indiana Avenue. We anticipated significant pushback, and we got it from some. But our goal is to be a member of the community, not just some distant new occupant. We hope that the presence of IUPUI will not be seen as a takeover, but rather an addition to the neighborhood, a sign of progress.
Yeah. No doubt some were down with the plan, but the full concept sounds kind of out of sight. I mean, ultimately, what will be the price of that progress?
Johnny, this is not a we and they situation. IUPUI is not coming to take over the community. We're committing to be a part of it, an extension of Indiana Avenue's great legacy. Degree attainment has been proven to translate into expanded career options and most definitely a better quality of life, and that's across the board.
Boy, I really can't argue with that. It sounds good. But we're going to go ahead and take some calls and see what the people think about it, if that's okay with you.
I welcome that. Let's do it.
Call number 1.
This whole thing makes absolutely no sense. You got Purdue University less than an hour north of Indianapolis and Indiana University less than an hour south. Why spend all that money just to convenience the haves with the hard-earned tax money of the have-nots?
Well, miss, I was born in Indianapolis. I graduated valedictorian from Shortridge High School, class in 1950. And many of my classmates have gone on to make significant changes in our city, state, nation, and even beyond. Recently, I read the work of a writer who referred to our hometown very disrespectfully as India no place. India no place. Now, Johnny, as mayor, not only do I believe that this negative assertion is patently false, but that Indianapolis is a great city, and a great city deserves a great university, and we have that now with IUPUI.
Call number 2.
You sound so confident. What if this whole thing just blows up in your face?
Well, though I am confident in the direction in which we are heading, it wouldn't be truthful to act as though I don't have any apprehensions. That would be unwise. I do ponder how marketable a concept like this can be and if it will take a hold as we envision. But leadership is responsible for informed and inspired visions of the future. Otherwise, we will remain mired in the constraints of the here and now. And Johnny, we both know that progress has never been made that way.
Call number 3.
Mayor Luger, I don't have a question. I just want to say something. With this new downtown university taking the place of our Indiana Avenue culture and legacy, I just hope that African Americans be a part of the process from start to finish. That's all I got to say. I'll just hang up and listen.
Well, here's what I can tell everyone. In the groundbreaking photo of the university, you saw the highly respected scholar and my great personal friend, Joe Taylor. Please know that this man of commitment is in the picture both metaphorically and literally as this great concept advances. And as for me, know me by my record, not just by what I say. I have long sought coalitions between both black and white people in Indianapolis, even before my term on the Indianapolis School Board. I was involved in ushering in successful desegregation in 1964 and in 1965. I have tried to lead by example. My sons played football and graduated from Christmas Attucks, where my wife was volleyball coach. Please know that Dr. Taylor and other great people on campus and in the community of all races will make sure that IUPUI is conscientious.
All right, Andy. Before we get any more calls, it was great for all that, but you'll be back to talk to the people from time to time, correct?
I go as often as you let me, Johnny.
All the best. Now, hey, we had a great treat today. A group of 5 young singers from the northwest part of the state. They call themselves the Jackson 5.
Oh, my good friend Gary Mayor Richard Hatcher was just telling me about them. I hear they're great.
Pretty great. Mayor, these boys are the next big thing. Look, tell your driver to turn to WTOC so you can go ahead and check them out.
I'll do just that. Thank you again, Johnny.
All right, Andy. Check out this new group with the 9-year-old lead singer. That's right, 9 years old. They are the newest addition to the Motown family. You're going to be hearing a lot. Jackson 5. Check it out. I Want You Back.
Good evening. My name is Sister Sarai, and I'm president of the newly formed IUPUI Black Student Union. we want to share our concerns and objectives. That starts with making certain IUPUI is never divorced from the responsibility to the community that this campus replaced. The BSU believes our presence on this campus is not a privilege. It's a right. Our elders paid their dues yesterday and pay their taxes today. We belong here, but not just as an aside. We want our presence woven into the fabric of this campus. We will not be bound by rules made without our being included at the table. We won't sing songs written without our having a hand in the lyrics. We won't march to a drum beat out of step with our cadence. We are more than just students. We are unapologetically Black students, and we say that not as a device of separation, but as an expectation of full, unconditional inclusion. We don't ask for special accommodations for African Americans, but we do demand recognition of our unique experience. When Blacks are forced to assimilate into an unfamiliar culture, it is tantamount to rejection of our identity, subjugating us to a state of nobodiness, making us invisible, even though we are before you in plain sight. This is not a plea for a seat at the dinner table, but this is a demand for a voice in determining the menu. We cannot settle for merely being in the room where decisions are made, but we must help determine the agenda. This is not a threat to the system, it's an enhancement. We deserve to be a part of this process. We also hope from our faculty and staff who embody our presence and our culture. The curriculum should acknowledge the many contributions of African Americans in the arts, sciences, literature, business, medicine, technology, law, education, and every corner of the American diaspora. The story of African American life cannot be merely integrated into the university's narrative, but it must be highlighted for its own relevance. Our heritage should not be suppressed or ignored. Failure to contemplate the past will only result in persistent trauma resurfacing over and over again. In the end, that only ends up dehumanizing people who actually care about our culture. And that should be everyone. Black, white, brown, all races, religions, and origins. We can't just pretend that the Ku Klux Klan is some distant anomaly of a buried past here in Indiana. Racism was real yesterday and continues to be one of the greatest challenges of our society today, here in the 70s. In conclusion, we take this conversation full circle. Indiana Avenue, the cornerstone of our culture and this community. Many of our neighborhoods fell victim to redlining, highway construction, campus displacement, and gentrification. So we won't pretend like we don't see the elephant in the room. But nothing improves understanding until we pinpoint what's wrong and work together for what's right. That's what the Black Student Union is all about. We insist on taking a strong stand and hope you stand with us for the right. Only then can IUPUI ever completely fulfill its promise. Thank you.
There's far too many of us dying. You know we got to find a way to bring some love here today. Hey, hey. Father, we don't need to escalate, 'cause you see, war is not the answer, and only love can conquer hate. You believe that? Oh, we got to find a way to bring some love here today. Hey, hey. Picket line, brother, and picket side, brother. Don't punish me with brutality, brother. Talk to me, brother, and you will see. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Tell me what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I say right on. Right on, my brother. Right on, my sister. Hey, what's happening? Yeah, y'all. Everybody thinks we're wrong. Oh, but who are they to judge us? Simply 'cause our hair is long. Oh, you know you got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Hey, hey. Picket line, brother. Picket line, brother. Don't punish me with brutality, brother. Oh, talk to me, brother, and you will see. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Tell me what's going on? 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 The sky, until that morning, there's nothing will harm me. Not as long as mommy and daddy are somewhere standing by.
Okay, everyone, stand by. They're going to come back to us for some live report. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome back to our 50th anniversary gala on the campus of IUPUI. This is one of the moments we've all been waiting for. The opening of the 70s time capsule. What do you think we'll find?
Well, when I get it open, we'll find items and keepsakes placed there by students, faculty, and staff from 1970 to 1979.
Oh, I was just a baby back then.
You're right. I got it! Oh, wow, look at all the stuff in here.
So much stuff.
I know, this is
From the
crazy.
70s.
What else? Here, look at this. Oh, I think they used to call this a mood ring. 70s, when a person put it on their finger, it would change colors to indicate how the person wearing it was feeling.
Wow.
What does blue-green mean?
Means you're standing in the way. What else is in this? An 8-track tape.
Oh.
What?
Funkadelics. Make my funk the people. I wanna get funked up.
Like little boys under the tree on Christmas morning. By the way, what else is in this thing? Oh, it's a Captain Waterboard from the first graduating class.
What's that writing?
I think it's the number of graduates that first year. Yeah.
Wow. It looks like IUPUI had an immediate impact. What else is in here? Oh, guys.
Look at this here.
Yeah.
What's that?
Can you believe it? A transistor radio.
Wow.
What's that?
Yeah. Never mind, I'll tell you later.
Guys, look at this. It's a copy of the first edition of the campus newspaper, the Sagamore, way back in 1971.
Can you believe this? This is a jersey from 1971, when IUPUI first became involved in intercollegiate athletics, starting with men's basketball. Initially, the team chose the name the Metros to reflect the downtown Indy location of the campus.
Oh, I never knew that. Oh, look at this. It's the Chancellor's report from the luncheon back in 1972. It says here that was a busy year. 4 new schools were established. The IU School of Public Environmental Affairs, the IU School of Liberal Arts, the Purdue School of Science, and the Purdue School of Engineering and Technology. The IUPUI Division of Education was established in 1972, and 3 years later, that became the School of Education.
Oh, look here. It says here that this is Glenn W. Irwin Jr., MD, the Dean of IU School of Medicine, who became the second IUPUI Chancellor in 1973.
That's a significant year for me because that's the same year that the School of Business reorganized on both the Bloomington and IUPUI campuses. Oh, look at this. A can of Afro shooting spray and an Afro pick. Hey, I need this when I take this wig off.
Wow. Oh, look, another newspaper. Love journalism. Look at this. This is a copy of the 1974 Indianapolis Star. It says here, distinguished professor Lawrence Einhorn stunned the world uncovering a cure for cancer. He went to the IU School of Medicine. Wow, suddenly a disease that was universally fatal became eminently curable.
Wow, that's personal for me.
Why?
15 years ago, my brother was diagnosed with cancer of the testes. We thought he was gone. But doctors treated him and he's alive and well, living in the Bronx, driving a UPS truck.
Hey, that's real talk. Nobody stops and thinks about life-saving research on this campus.
Hey, Clyde, just like your brother at UPS, I guess you could say that IUPUI research delivers.
What else is in this thing?
Oh, look at this. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Girl power. It says that women's sports started in 1975 with basketball, volleyball, and softball.
Wow. Look at here. It says in 1976, the Minority Engineering Advancement Program, MEAP, was established to encourage middle school and high school students to pursue careers in the field.
Oh my goodness, look at these popcorn shoes!
No one had to tell me what this is. On the weekends, my 2 best friends are Ben and Jerry. This commemorates the longest running tradition on campus, the IUPUI Ice Cream Social on the Union Patio, started in the late 70s.
Man, I used to have some of these.
What's that?
What is it?
This is a bad dashiki. And I think it fits.
Oh, no, Clyde. You know we cannot keep anything out of this time capsule. Oh, look at this. A hippie tie-dye shirt and love beads. Now that was as 70s as the Partridge Family and the Jeffersons.
What kind of pipe is that?
On that note, it's time to wrap up this anniversary newscast. What intriguing revelations left by students from the 70s. So much accomplished in so short of a time, and that was only the beginning for IUPUI. Reporting live from downtown Indianapolis, this is Sophia Perez. So long for now.
Soul Train, the hippest trip in America. 60 non-stop minutes across the tracks of your mind into the exciting world of soul with guest star.
So I'd like to know when you got the notion. Say I'd like to know when you got the notion. Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat, don't tip the boat over. Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat. Ever since I wanted to let me in, your touch has thrilled me like the rush of the wind, and your heart had held me safe from a rolling sea. There's always been a quiet place to Holly and me. Our love is like a ship on the ocean. We've been sailing with a cargo full of love and devotion. So I'd like to know where you got the notion. Say I'd like to know where you got the notion. Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat, don't tip the boat over. Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat. But tonight we sail through the storm, and I've always had your tender lips to keep me warm. Oh, I need to have the strength that flows from you. Don't let me drift away, my dear, when love can see me through. Our love is like a ship on the ocean. We've been sailing with a cargo full of love and devotion. So I'd like to know when you got the notion. Say I'd like to know when you got the notion. So I'd like to know when you got the notion. Say I'd like to know when you got the notion. Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat, don't tip the boat over. Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby.
Good evening, viewers. This is Rex Blair.
And Millie Underwood.
And in less than an hour here in the Circle City, we will only be ushering in a new year, but a new decade.
That's right, it's December 31st, 1989. And to describe the last 10 years as eventful would be quite an understatement.
That's right, so let's get started so we can finish before that countdown.
Starting the decade of the 1980s, the Riley Hospital Pediatric Cardiac Catheterization Clinic and Laboratory was completed.
Wow, try saying that 10 times fast.
Also, the School of Physical Education and Natatorium formed a $17 million project to be completed on the corner of Blake and West New York Streets. 2 years later, James Doc Councilman became the first person to swim in that IU natatorium, calling the pool the finest in the United States and the most up-to-date in the world. In 1982, the School of Physical Education moved into the natatorium and the track and field stadium opened. This was the same year that the Education and Social Work building also opened.
And shifting over into major medical research news, IUPUI Professor of Medicine, distinguished John Donahue, MD, in 1984, developed a nerve-sparing surgery for urological cancer. And that was a first. And it has since been proven to help the reproductive function in men. And moving over to 1986, campus leadership went yet through another transformation when Gerald L. Beckpo, PhD, and Dean of the School of Law became the third chancellor of the campus. And moving on to sports, IUPUI hosted its first Big Ten swim meet of the 1980s, and later went on to host the NCAA Division I Men's Swimming National Championships. It also used the Natatorium and Carroll Stadiums to host the National Sports Festival. And finally, in 1987, international focus came to IUPUI for hosting track and soccer competitions of the 10th Pan American Games.
Wow, that is fascinating, Rex. It was also during the 80s that a $4 million grant from Lilly Endowment launched the Center on Philanthropy at IUPUI, one of the most unique facilities across the nation. Another 1980s milestone was the creation of the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, the Indiana Alcohol Research Center, focusing on biomedical and psychosocial factors that contribute to alcohol abuse and alcoholism. In 1987, IUPUI established the Challenger Scholarship Program in memory of that ill-fated space shuttle launch. The program started with 35 full-time tuitions to students in science and space-related fields.
Wow, Millie, that is such an incredible program. And as we reflect on the past 10 years on this New Year's Eve, 1989, well, we also saw in 1988 the establishment of the Minority Achievement Scholarship Program, later renamed the Norman Brown Diversity Scholarship Program, in honor of the Associate Director of Undergraduate Admission who played such a key role in the development of the program. And earlier this year, the Polis Center was opened to establish practical and academic expertise for the benefit of Indianapolis and beyond. And IUPUI recently approved over $20 million for Phase 3 of the construction of the Technology, Engineering, and Science Building project, as well as a new IUPUI University Library. And finally, the decade of the 1980s ends with IUPUI passing the 26,000 mark in students registered.
What a monumental achievement, as we only expect to go up from here. So as we count down, we hope you've enjoyed a look back on the last decade. What incredible progress.
Indeed, Millie. So for the NDTV News Channel, I'm Rex.
And Millie signing off and saying,
Happy New Year.
With the advent of the 1990s came a cultural phenomenon referred to as rap and hip-hop. Well, students at IUPUI, like those across the country and around the world, began speaking in another language less familiar to their elders, but common among young people of all kinds.
I'm just gonna tell y'all a little more history. Hey! We all came into the 90s, feeling so upbeat and merry. Halfway through the decade, opened the university library. The community learning network stretched us throughout the region, while our team joined Division I to start the 97 season. Focus on research and medicine on our campus intensified. The Advanced Research Technology Institute was a major source of pride. The Ivy School of Business took on E.W. Kelly's name, and the Jaguar became our mascot, proving that we had game. IUPUI. Come on, y'all, put your hands together. I want to hear y'all say it. Yeah, that's what I want to hear. One more time, one more time. Hey, give it to me one more time. The Institute of American Thought, Heron Image Visualization Lab, new imaging technology brought the first gamma knife rendered some tumor surgeries non-invasive, while a new office just for women making no issues more pervasive. Kevin Shackleton, black engineer, named best in the Midwest. First women's cancer research focused on reproductive organs and breast. Cancer that's on push to click in college community literacy plan, while the university and Methodist and Raleigh Hospital became Clarion, y'all. Hey! Put your hands together. Hey! Let me hear you say it one more time. IUPUI. Oh, 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 oh. Say it again. All right, y'all, excuse me. I'm just going to be down for a few minutes. Hold on. Here we go. Hey! Remember now? Wait a minute.
Iconic songwriter Prince provided the benchmark musical transition into the new millennium with his hit record 1999. As people anticipated moving into the 2000s, there were widespread fears of natural and technological calamity accompanying the advent of the year 2000. You remember 2K. Some gathered water and food supplies. Some saved financial records and other information on hard drives, fearing massive computer crashes. But for the most part, the year 2000 came with a whimper and not a bang.
Right back in about 20 minutes. Ooh, he doesn't see.
still hear the music coursing through my brain. And I can still hear Oscar Robertson and Halle Bryan talking trash up and down the outdoor basketball court. Take that, big old. Ow. Oh.
Are you all right?
No, I got fouled on that last shot.
Yeah, you got fouled all right by a couple of players on the other team named arthritis and rheumatism.
That's why we retired from the game, brother.
Okay, everyone, stand by. This will be our final broadcast. In 5, 4, 3. Welcome back to our final broadcast on the campus of IUPUI. We've tonight taken a trip down memory lane from long before the first building of this university was erected, a time when this entire area was a beloved neighborhood like few others, to the annals of the past half century that made this one of the most high-impact institutions anywhere in the nation. What are your thoughts tonight, Clyde, given what you've learned about IUPUI?
Well, I had no idea what this campus has done and is still doing in its first 50 years. I can't wait to see what the next 50 years are like.
Yeah, right. So the bottom line is, we all leave here tonight knowing so much more than when we came. And we leave here with so much more appreciation for the legacy of Indiana Avenue. At the same time, we are wowed by this anchor institution called IUPUI that now thrives in this exact same place.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing is, painful as it may have been, change was just a necessary evil in the fulfillment of the community to its full potential. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so.
And what I'm also hearing is, no matter how far we've come, we can never take for granted the tremendous shoulders on which the institution lies. The community that laid the foundation, both literally and metaphorically.
I would agree with that assessment. The price of progress is most often a tax to the soul. Sentimentality and the romance of our glorious past is more than a trifle. It is as real as bricks, mortars, curriculum, and degrees. IUPUI provides nurturing of minds to take us to the next level of the state, nation, and beyond. This university could never be, and should never be, divorced from the lingering past of IUPUI. The two are inextricably bound.
Well said. Well, I guess that leaves you all with my observations.
Absolutely, Professor. We haven't heard from you yet.
I hope you don't mind if I refer to my notes.
Oh.
Nope.
Is this going to be a full class lecture?
No, I promise to be brief. After tonight's experience, I have come to the conclusion that we, as an institution, can do better. Many universities integrate dark histories into their institutional identity without creating a false resolution, including many campuses with a heritage of captivity. Now, perhaps in Indianapolis, the racism that made displacement possible is so recent and raw that our acknowledgments are, at best, made by scattered faculty and staff. We miss an opportunity if our campus tours say nothing of the IUPUI historical landscape. When I worked at the University of Virginia, campus tours included 19th century slave quarters, a much more risque conversation. We must learn to embrace, university admissions should learn to embrace the heritage of this landscape and not focus so much on majors and credits and practical questions. And internally, new colleagues and staff should not learn of this heritage secondhand by colleagues who often do not know it to begin with.
True that.
You make some great points, Professor.
Intellectual honesty requires a public admission of racism. And as thought leaders, IUPUI can be at the vanguard of collective conversations that expand beyond community leaders, social scientists, and academics. We must bring to the table elders who can thoughtfully and reflectively tell their own stories
Like Clyde?
Yes, like Clyde. Well, all I'm trying to say is that...
You're almost running out of time.
Okay. I'm just trying to say that we, as a campus, can make a difference by being more willing to engage in continuous, systematic, and university-sanctioned dialogue about this history. And it must be continuous, because we have new students, faculty, and staff arriving every year. As I think about it, most of the students in my classes are white, but they are starved and ready for persistent public conversations about racism, and they are better prepared to deal with it than most administrators, faculty, and staff. We give these scholars too little credit. I believe this campus has the heart and the capacity to embrace this history and tell its story soberly, with some measure of complicity, without fear or tension. We cannot and we should not try to suppress this heritage. The university and the legacy of Indiana Avenue will be richer for such an enlightened approach. That's all I have.
I didn't know you had it in you.
Well, to be honest, before tonight, Clyde, I didn't.
I'm getting the signal that it's time to wrap up. We hope you've enjoyed this 50th anniversary coverage as much as we have. We leave here today with memories from yesterday and inspirations for our tomorrow. This is Sophia Perez with new best friends, Dr. Nicole Woods.
Girl, call me Nikki.
IUPUI Professor Connor O'Malley.
Go Jaguars!
And my old school G, Mr. Clyde Johnson.
Indiana Avenue strong forever.
Reporting live from downtown Indianapolis for Channel 11, this is Sophia Perez. Good night.
Well, now that it's over, it's kind of cool hanging out with you guys.
Yeah. Okay, well, when we started, I thought I was going to have to referee more than report.
It's all good. Hey, wait a minute.
What?
Didn't you say you used to play the drums all up and down Indiana Avenue when you was 13?
About 40 years ago, I did.
Oh. Well, how do we not know that was a bunch of bull you
Do I look like bull?
Okay, well, come on over here and show us.
Yeah, that's right. Before you leave, you
Yeah,
gotta play a
you
little
know how long
something for
it's
us.
been since I sit behind the
Come on, Clyde.
Never
Show us
lose
what
it.
you got.
Never lose it.
Give the drummer some!
All right, Clyde, let's see what you got.
How's that?
Bye, you guys. Yes, sir.
I've kept my sitters waiting long enough. Oh, and thank you for taking us back to the old school, man. Really appreciate it. Oh, and I have to apologize for something that I said earlier. I accused you of trying to resurrect the past. But now I know that beautiful era never really died.
Got that right. Never died, and it never will. The Blue Lounge. Yeah! The Sunset Lounge. Hope's Liquors. The Downbeat Lounge. Addie's Cleaners.
Jaguars fight, go Jets! Erasing by the power of two, both Indiana and Purdue. Tell me strong, we're ever true to IUPUI.
celebrating 50 years. IUPUI Students of the New Millennium.
Chicken noodle soup with the soda on the side. Chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup with the soda on the side. Chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup with the soda on the side. Chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup with the soda on the side.
Every day I'm shuffling.
Make you do a double take. Planet rock, a showstopper, flow popper, head knocker, beat scholar, tail chopper, do my thing, mother. Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, Blue Medina, always beaming, rag top, chrome pipes, new lights, out of sight. Love me, so in, say it again, so in. Make that money, throw it in, booty bouncing down the hill. Everybody here. Get your best cause Mr.
Music make you lose control.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's meet these incredible dancers. Let's start with Erica Watford. Kaylin Bale. Malik Marks McGrath. Lance Williams. We have two Michael Jacksons, Nia Baptiste and Tanya Baptiste. And the brilliant choreographer, Sierra Liggins. Now let's meet those who musically brought us the price of progress. Let's start with keyboard Craig Hicks. Alto sax and flute George Smith. Vincent Fennell, the drummer. Al Fennell, our musical director. And the lady of the jazz men, Sandy Lomax. Meet Latash Payne. We call her Tassie. She's our stage manager. Here in the booth, you can see Enos Adams. He's our technical director. And here's our cast. Let's start with Olivia Zarate. Brian Graves. Jimmy Vaughn. Darian Fitzgerald. John Hayes. Nakia Wright. L. Watson. Jay Fuqua. And by the way, from this cast, we had two people who actually grew up on the Avenue. The band director, Mr. Fennell, and Al Watson, who was telling his own story.
Griselle!
Oh, how can I forget?
I don't know how you can forget her.
She's the one who brought you the whole program, ladies and gentlemen, Griselle Barra. I just wanted to have a special interest.
Alright, speaking about entrances, how about we give it up for our director, Vernon Williams.
I want to first give God the glory. None of this could have been possible without His blessing. We have a wonderful cast, musicians, the actors, the dancers. They just came together so well to put their hearts and soul into this. And once again, it would not be anything if you weren't here tonight to see it. So I appreciate the audience coming out. Thank you. We appreciate being part of Onyx Fest 2019 and hope that it becomes a tradition where an organization called the Africana Repertory Theater of IUPUI becomes a fixture here at Onyx Fest, bringing Black playwrights' work to vision every year. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.